On August 23, 2023, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 8 Republican candidates took the stage for the first debate of the election season, each vying for the nomination of president. Governor Chris Christie was prepared to address a wide range of issues, both foreign and domestic. He faced a surprising question from Fox News.
You believe that the recent spike in UFO encounters...
I get the UFO question?
Yeah, you do.
Come on,
there
man.
You go. But, okay, we've been hearing a lot of testimony in Congress, and people are taking this a lot more seriously. And we're hearing that, there are things going on that people aren't aware of. So, if you were president, Governor Christie, would you level with the American people about what the government knows about these possible encounters?
Martha, and especially coming from a woman from New Jersey, I think it's horrible that just because I'm from New Jersey, you asked me about unidentified flying objects and Martians. We're different, but we're not that different. Look, of course, the job of the President of the United States is to level with the American people about everything. The job of the President of the United States is to stand for truth. The job of the President of the United States is to be a role model for our children and our grandchildren. And so whether it was UFOs...
When host Martha McCullum brings up UFOs, the audience and other candidates reacted with laughter. But she presses forward. What followed was historic. For the first time, a presidential candidate was directly asked about UFO disclosure during a presidential debate. Christie's response ultimately put him in the history books as the first candidate to support UFO disclosure, a stance that 3 more presidential candidates would make this election cycle. Welcome to Alien Wisconsin. Today we are covering the first presidential election where UFOs are on the minds of voters. Wisconsin is once again leading the way in UFO disclosure. You probably noticed former Governor Chris Christie's UFO campaign promise happened in Milwaukee. Make sure to watch the end of the episode. We have surprising UFO-related polling that could reveal if Trump or Harris will be our next president. Before we dive into UFO developments, be sure to hit the like and subscribe. It really helps out a small channel like Alien Wisconsin. Americans are changing their opinions about the existence of alien life. In 1996, 20% of Americans believed that alien life has visited Earth. In 2022, that number has increased to 34%. That means that 113 million people in America believe that alien life has visited Earth. An Ipsos poll found that 68% of Americans believe that their government knows more about UFOs than it is telling us. With numbers like that, it's hard to call this a fringe issue anymore. I reached out to all of my representatives about UFO disclosure: Republican Ron Johnson, Democrat Mark Pocan, and Democrat Tammy Baldwin. Out of all of them, only Tammy Baldwin responded, and I'm grateful she took the issue seriously. She provided a list of links related to a Department of National Intelligence report that acknowledges UFOs as a possibility. She also offered a general commitment to government transparency. While her response was somewhat generic, it was more than I received from the others, and for that I'm appreciative, even though I still hope for something more concrete. Earlier, I mentioned that 4 candidates running for president have made campaign promises on UFOs. So let's hear another one. Vivek Ramaswamy is the most pro-disclosure UFO candidate in U.S. history.
Do you think the government has recovered alien spacecraft?
Have they identified, was the question, unidentified flying objects?
Or alien spacecraft, or
unidentified flying objects.
Evidence of aliens.
Yeah.
I would say evidence of aliens, I don't know. So the question I'm answering yes to is have unidentified flying objects, yeah.
If you did discover aliens, do you think it would be in the public's best interest to know about it, or not?
I think it's the public's best interest to know what the government knows. There are almost no circumstances in which the government should be hiding something from the public.
But let's say that would cause public panic. Do you believe that maybe it's worth withholding?
I think there's so this is an ancient debate. from the era of Socrates and Plato to even the COVID-19 and climate change alarmism era that we're in today. There's no such thing as a noble lie. It doesn't exist. People think they're telling a lie to be noble because the public can't handle the truth. We can handle the truth. We require the truth. And the reason people don't trust the government is that the government doesn't trust the people back. And so if there's one thing I will bring to the table, we'll be transparent, tell the truth about everything. Release the Jeffrey Epstein client list. Say what we know about unidentified flying objects.
Ramaswamy, known for his fiery rhetoric, fizzled out early in the GOP race, although many speculate he may still have a future in the Republican Party. Time will tell. It isn't just Republicans making campaign promises about UFOs. The third candidate to discuss UFO Disclosure platform made these comments while running as a Democratic candidate for president. Robert F. Kennedy said this on The Hill Rising.
Whistleblower David Grush has claimed that these hearings fell short of sharing all the government knows with the American people, going so far as to claim the government is in possession of actually non-human craft. So we'd love to know your thoughts on this. If you think there's UFO intelligence that should be declassified, rather than having this guarded closely, whatever it is, by military and U.S. intelligence agencies.
All I can say is if they got it, it's one of the first questions I'm going to ask, and I'm going to want to see the little fellas and their spacecraft, and I will, and then disclose everything that I can. I'll disclose everything to the American public unless there's some really compelling reason not to, which I don't anticipate. But I read the article by that guy, about that whistleblower who's still in the military, and it just seemed very credible to me, but I don't know. I don't have any way of assessing it, and I guess they're taking it seriously on Capitol Hill, which I'm very happy about. I think everybody's curious about this. Everybody would love to know whether we have company neighbors in the universe. It's really exciting, and I think, that's the kind of thing I think we should share with the American people and have discussions, philosophical discussions about what that means for us and, what that means for our planet. And
Speaking of Democrats running for president, Kamala Harris has not enunciated any UFO platform. The only time she has ever been asked about UFOs was during this exchange with comedian Jimmy Kimmel, earlier in her time as vice president.
You have the top level security clearance, right? It's as high as it can get.
Yes.
So when you become vice president officially, when you're sworn in, have you ever found yourself in a situation where you're like, you know what, I'm just curious from a personal level about something like whether it be UFOs or JFK or Jimmy Hoffa or any of these things that we all want to know what happened? Have you taken those steps to look into those things?
I am interested in a number of those subjects.
Yeah. And then did you tell somebody like, hey, I'd like to see whatever files, and then somebody delivers them to you and you sit there and go, whoa.
I'm not giving you any more than I gave you.
Our last candidate running for president with a UFO platform needs no introduction. As of this recording, Donald Trump has made 3 media appearances where he spoke about UFOs: The Joe Rogan Show, Gutfield on Fox, and Lex Friedman's podcast. Friedman was able to push Trump for a commitment on UFO disclosure.
A lot of people are very interested in the footage of UFOs. The Pentagon has released a few videos, and there's been anecdotal reports from fighter pilots. So a lot of people want to know, will you help push the Pentagon to release more footage, which a lot of people claim is available?
Oh, yeah, sure, I'll do that. I would do that. I'd love to do that. I have to do that. But they also are pushing me on Kennedy. And I did release a lot, but I had people come to me and beg me not to do it. But I'll be doing that very early on. But I would do that.
Trump saw an opportunity with his UFO disclosure platform, taking it to Gutfeld on late night TV. Meanwhile, his opponent, Kamala Harris, lacks a UFO stance, which may have given Trump an edge.
Are there aliens at Area 51?
You know, I'll tell you, it's a funny thing because I think that might be a question that I get more than any question. It is the craziest thing. So we have that so-called area. They consider it like a sacred area. And I will say this. I don't think I'm a believer, but I've interviewed pilots that look, I like Tom Cruise, but better than Tom Cruise. The blonde crew cuts, the whole, and this, yes, sir. And they were in the Oval Office, 3 or 4 pilots. These are not people that make up stories. They said, all I know, sir, is there was a round object that was going 4 times faster than my F-22, which is a very fast plane. And it wasn't, it shouldn't have been. It was round, sir. They have seen, 4 or 5 guys I've interviewed, solid people, great pilots for the U.S. Air Force, etc. They've seen things that they cannot explain.
This issue isn't just showing up at the presidential level, but is also affecting down-ballot races like the Nevada Senate race. In this moderated debate, Democrat Jackie Rosen and Sam Brown were asked about their UFO attitudes and policy.
What's out there? There have been recent revelations of several government agencies looking into UAPs, more commonly known as UFOs. This is video of one of the most famous ones, the Tic Tac UFO. We don't know what that is, but it appears to be a matter of national security. The Pentagon says all of these instances can be easily explained. New UAP hearings are slated for both the House and the Senate. Do you support more UFO transparency, and should Congress create something independent of the Department of Defense to conduct the research?
So, Ms. Rosen, you'll have 1 minute here. Should Congress do its own independent investigation into UFOs?
Well, this is a topic that we have talked about. I sit on the Armed Services Committee, and we know that as your video showed, Area 51 is here in Nevada, in the center of Nevada, and it's a top secret military site. I do think it's important that we do our independent investigation. Of course, in the Senate, we are responsible for oversight. We have committees in both houses. I do think it would be important to see what we're doing there and if there is any merit to this.
Mr. Brown, you have 1 moment here to respond. Should Congress do its own independent investigation into UFOs?
Well, I think I'm just as curious as anyone. I'd love to know what's going on. I never saw any sort of technology like that when I was in the service. I'm not sure I fully trust Congress, to be able to figure it out. Maybe Elon Musk can.
When I learned about Tulsi Gabbard and RFK's event just 2 hours before it started, I took a chance and went. Even though I'm an independent who has never attended a Republican gathering, I hoped to ask about UFO disclosure directly.
And I made it. Here we go. Hey, I'm here with Alien, Wisconsin, and we are here to ask RFK and Tulsi Gabbard the UFO UAP disclosure question. So we are at a Trump rally and hoping that they will address this issue. It was addressed on the Joe Rogan show, and I'm very excited and very hopeful.
It turned out audience questions weren't allowed. I stayed though, waited in line, and finally spoke with Tulsi one-on-one. I asked her, "Will you disclose the truth about UFOs to the American public?" She responded, Yes, we are working on that, and Trump is aware of this issue." This photo was taken moments after her response. As you can tell, I'm excited with her answer. Someone watching at home might ask, which party is better for UFO disclosure? At times, it seems like Republicans are the answer, but this is not the case. They merely seem to be the party that is more comfortable talking about the issue publicly. Democratic Senator Chuck Schumer and the Biden administration passed the first UFO legislation ever, as well as supported the UFO hearings last summer. Thankfully, this issue has remained nonpartisan, and bills on UFOs have been universally bipartisan. Both parties are making meaningful contributions on the issue and need each other to provide leadership to the American people on this complex topic. Pollsters have noticed the importance of UFO policy with voters, and they have started working these themes into their questions. The Institute for Global Affairs asked voters this question: which candidate would you prefer to effectively lead an international response to an invasion of Earth from aliens from outer space? Swing state voters preferred Trump by a margin of 55 to 45. As we've shown, 4 presidential candidates are now openly discussing UFO disclosure, making a profound shift in how these phenomena are viewed, not just by the public, but by those aiming to lead the nation. What was once a fringe topic has quickly transformed into a mainstream issue that voters and candidates alike are taking seriously. With attitudes on UFOs evolving and political platforms embracing transparency, we're witnessing an unprecedented moment in the intersection of politics and the unknown. As always, stay tuned to Alien Wisconsin for the latest on how UFOs are shaping our world.